Hey guys, welcome back. I got a request to do Watchmojo's top 30 metal songs of all time. And okay, let's just start by throwing out a whole bunch of this list. The first 20 songs are littered with a ton of niche songs. And I mean, it does say the word heavy metal, so that would imply to me, as someone who understands some of the subgenres of it, that, okay, we're going back to like the old school stuff, the originations of it. Okay, maybe there's a reason to have that. But then it starts including songs from the 90s, and then it includes a Rammstein song, and then it includes the wrong Disturbed song. It also includes a Dream Theater song at number 12. And I'm like, okay, we just lost the plot, guys. I can't make heads or tails out of their ability to evaluate what goes where or what even belongs on the list when you have this like super niche, only deep metalheads who appreciate terrible sound are going to like, mixed with basic stuff that has popular appeal like Disturbed and Rammstein. I will say, to their credit, in an effort to spread around the love to as many bands as possible, they limited each band to one selection, with the exception of giving a song to King Diamond and to Merciful Fate. I think that might be a little bit cheating. They did the same thing with Ozzy Osbourne and Black Sabbath. That one feels a little bit more justifiable to me, but I'll happily set that aside. And in the interest of giving Watchmojo the best case possible for their list, I will completely throw out the first 20 entries because they make no sense whatsoever. The top 10 that they have there isn't bad, honestly. So let's take a look at that.
Number 10, Holy Diver.
Our old friend Ryan is back, but he's a little less annoying than he was in the last video. Having Holy Diver in the top 10 makes complete sense to me, frankly. When it comes to like the quintessential sound of metal, Dio's voice is definitely one of those things, and Holy Diver is hands down the most popular entry of his. And like even normies can listen to Holy Diver, enjoy it, and think, you know what? Maybe I will live action roleplay in the middle of a college campus. I actually did a satire cover of Holy Diver called Dumpster Diver. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's a lot of fun. It's dorky, and I love every moment of it.
There are a million moments from the career of Ronnie James Dio that could have made this list. From his stint fronting
I don't know about that.
Black Sabbath to the mini-movie that was the video clip for his song, Rock and Roll Children.
If they included this over Holy Diver, I would have slapped him right upside the head. And it's not just the fact that it was commercially successful, it's the fact that it's very clearly the best written song that he has. When you're listening to that song, you instantly feel like the protagonist of an old medieval / fantasy tale. Instantly.
While Holy Diver's mid-paced groove allows future Def Leppard guitarist Vivian Campbell to show off his amazing chops.
Excellent point out there. Yeah, Vivian Campbell did outstanding on that solo. It's one of my favorite solos of his, honestly. Yet another reason to include it in the top 10, because when you're measuring metal songs, guitar solo is an inevitable thing you gotta take into consideration.
Number 9, Cemetery Gates.
This is an interesting choice, and I actually kind of appreciate why he chose Cemetery Gates from Pantera over something, say, like Walk or Cowboys from Hell. Even though Cowboys from Hell, I think, probably had a little more commercial success, maybe. Walk was the one that, like, took us into the 90s and the 20th century. But he described Cemetery Gates as kind of like this perfect midpoint between the old school style of doing thrash and 80s glam style metal with this new groove metal forward kind of modern metal, at least modern for the 90s. And I think that's 100% correct. And I didn't really think about it until I had to sit down and examine the rest of this list. And I was like, yeah, that really is just a dead middle spot. And there's something really cool about that from the artistic perspective of, you know, trying to get away from their power metal album a little bit and try and innovate a little bit more. But then it's also like a literal turning point in history as well. The song is a fulcrum in history. I think that's really cool. I still think I would probably use Walk as my pick for their top 10, but Cemetery Gates is more than acceptable. Great choice.
Cowboys from Hell signified this sort of sonic rebirth, an amplification of their previous album Power Metal, and a true coming of age for Pantera's still new singer Philip Anselmo.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree with that completely.
But it's perhaps Cemetery Gates that's the best distillation of Pantera's new and exciting sound.
I don't know if it's the best distillation of the new and exciting sound myself, but it's okay. It's whatever.
Complete with the genius guitar work of Dimebag Darrell, it's a rousing mixture of heavy metal's past and future. A power ballad that's all power, yet retaining all of the emotion required to remain a stone-cold classic.
Yeah, I would agree with that completely. I think he worded that very eloquently.
Number 8, Holy Wars. The Punishment Due.
Okay, including Megadeth in the top 10 seems fair to me. This particular song in the entry feels really weird. And we're gonna notice this across a few of these in the top 10. And I think the reason might be because they do so many of these top 10 lists that they keep having probably the same songs in the top 10 all the time. So it's like, we got to mix it up a little bit. That's my guess, but I don't know. Again, most of you already know I am not a fan of Megadeth, but there's a handful of their songs I really enjoy. Holy Wars, The Punishment Due, I don't think is a particularly great song myself. My intuition would say either Tornado of Souls or Symphony of Destruction. And I know Symphony of Destruction is like, oh, such a normie take. Yes, it's the most popular freaking song that they have. That's the whole point. You know that band that you love and worship for some unknown reason, Megadeth? People find them through Symphony of Destruction. That song that you hate so much is why they continue to be discovered and make money. Considering the impact of Megadeth, it makes total sense why they would be in the top 10. I could also see them not being in the top 10 and not lose any sleep. Just that particular entry to me just seems weird. You know what I mean? It just seems a little weird.
Number 7, Crazy Train. Ozzy Osbourne.
Yeah, that's a duh. If Crazy Train wasn't somewhere in the top 10, they would be insane. I think you could even argue it's top 5, like honestly like 3-1 maybe even. Ozzy's solo catalog has a lot of excellent songs that had a lot of impact. Crazy Train is the only Ozzy song that gets played in every single sports arena in America. Always, all the time. That like outclasses songs from other more popular genres, for crying out loud.
Crazy Train is just one of those universal Ozzy songs that everyone knows. Yet it was elevated by the X factor that was the once-in-a-lifetime guitar talent of Randy Rhoads.
Yes, I would agree. And also the X factor of Ozzy just being so crazy, both on stage and also with his publicity. Yeah, I think he nailed that.
Number 6, Ace of Spades. Motorhead.
Okay, so I'm not a big Motorhead fan. Ace of Spades is not my favorite. My favorite is probably Overkill, but I think Ace of Spades as an entry in the top 10 makes complete sense. And a friend of mine finally explained to me the Lemmy is God thing, and I think this is actually interesting. He said, I think Motorhead attracted a lot of fans back in the day because they were a bridge between the punk and metal communities. If you went to a punk show back when I was a kid, they would kick your ass for having long hair. But that fusion started with them, which gave rise to crossover thrash. At least that's how I remember it. So people love Lemmy, not so much for his talent, and he says that he does like them, but he totally understands why people wouldn't, and more for his personality and what he did for marrying those two scenes. Okay, the cultural context of Lemmy makes total sense now to me, and also adds extra fire as to why this song should belong in the top 10.
Number 5, Angel of Death.
No. Slayer being on here, fine. Angel of Death, I think it's really Rain and Blood, dude. I think that's the obvious choice. And this, again, goes back to what I was saying. I think they probably put Rain and Blood on too many lists to where they're like, crap, we have to pick a different song, right? Angel of Death, you know? It does seem like the logical next choice, for sure. But no, it's just like very clearly it's Rain and Blood. Very clearly.
Slayer's Rain and Blood is widely regarded as one of, if not the finest examples of thrash metal.
And that's why we didn't include it in the top 10. The first sentence out of his mouth is explaining why his choice was wrong. Even he knows this is a bullshit pick. It's whatever. No, it's not whatever. This was a bad choice. Look, Watchmojo. It's fine to include Slayer in the top 10. I don't like Slayer at all, but I get it. Just at least pick the right song, okay? Great riff, honestly. An awesome riff.
Number 4, The Trooper, Iron Maiden.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I could even see this swapping places with Crazy Train, to be completely frank. While The Trooper is amazing, I think it's my favorite Iron Maiden song. It's up there. It's one of my favorites. It definitely does not have the broad-banded, world-changing appeal that Crazy Train does. Also, if they had to like swap out songs, I could see Number of the Beast or Run to the Hills for sure. As much as I love Hallowed Be Thy Name, I don't think it hits quite the popular appeal that those other three do. But yeah, having The Trooper in the top 10 makes a ton of sense, especially as kind of like the distillation of new wave of British heavy metal. It's like all of the best parts of that sound in one song, and a really well written song. I think, yeah, it kind of is just like a distillation of their sound, a perfect like middle ground of what Iron Maiden sounds like.
Number 3, Painkiller, Judas Priest.
Yeah, that's hands down my favorite Judas Priest song. Another entry I would have thought was acceptable was like Breaking the Law, just because that's, again, one of their biggest massive appeal songs. But man, Painkiller is just so good. I feel like it's not remotely as well known as it should be for how incredible it is, especially with the frickin' Glenn Tipton solos. Holy moly. But in general, I think it would be remiss not to include Judas Priest on the top 10. Because of just how important they were to the origins of heavy metal.
Is there any heavy metal singer who quite exemplifies all of the trappings of the genre more than Rob Halford?
Yeah, probably. And I say that not as an insult to Rob Halford, but Rob Halford has like one distinct sound. Okay, he has two distinct sounds, but he's like super duper tenor. And there's a lot of the genre that's low and grovelly that he really can't do super well. As far as being incredibly emotive and theatrical, he nails that, has that in spades. But yeah, like I wouldn't consider Rob Halford to be a quintessential metal vocalist sound so much as he is a super identifiable, legendary vocalist, if that makes any sense.
For many fans, he's unequivocally the voice of metal. With his band Judas...
I guess some people feel that way. I don't know. That's not me, but that's whatever.
Painkiller might be the band's heaviest moment, too. A reaction to the rising popularity of thrash metal and a promise that the old guard was not going to be left in the dust.
Based. Yeah, I agree with that whole thing. Yeah, that's exactly what that is. Especially since this song, I believe, came out in 1990, which was like far past this particular taste of metal's time to survive. It should have been dying at this point. And they come out with Painkiller and just club you over the head with this amazing metal song. It elevates traditional metal with a little bit of infusion of thrash, a hair.
Number 2, Master of Puppets.
Duh. Also acceptable entries would have been Enter Sandman or One. And I guess this goes back to why I just decided to completely discard the bottom 20 is because, I mean, Metallica should be taking up 3 spots of this 30 at very least. Master Puppets, Enter Sandman, and One all were world-changing, not just for metal, but for hard rock, for music production into the future. 3 incredibly important metal songs at 3 different times in music history that did 3 different things to the music scene. But yeah, Master Puppets makes perfect sense. No notes.
Number 1, Black Sabbath. Black Sabbath.
I get it, but no, it's not my choice. I'm sorry. Black Sabbath as the band, yes. The song Black Sabbath, I get, is supposed to be like, that was the first heavy metal song. It's such a not good song. I'm sorry. It's not a good song. The correct choice is War Pigs, or I could even see like Iron Man, Paranoid. I could also see Paranoid. Making the band Black Sabbath the number 1 spot, totally understand, makes sense. The song Black Sabbath, no. Well, Ryan, thank you for being less annoying sounding this time around. You still got the radio voice, but I didn't want to kill you. The top 10 are all fabulous entries. Other entries that I think could be considered potentially. Come On Feel the Noise by Quiet Riot. That was kind of like the entry into the popularization of metal in the mainstream. Most of the bands that are on this whole 30 list wouldn't be a thing without Quiet Riot making it a thing. I'm gonna get crap for this, but Back in Black by AC/DC. I understand, yes, it's hard rock and all that stuff, but you know, back in the day, most people would colloquially call that heavy metal. There's a perfectly understandable reason to not include it on this list. But if they did include it on this list and had none of the other modern interpretations, then I would say, okay, that makes more sense. So all in all, the top 10 was not bad. As a matter of fact, I would say it is good. Perfect? No, but not making me think that you are completely stupid. All right, subscribe to Night School. Let me know what you thought in the comments down below. What was missed? What did they do that was right? What did I get wrong? And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.